Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. My God, I got on here first today. It's amazing with my technology skills.
You're getting pretty good with it, though.
I'm telling you, I'm lucky there's not like 3 or 4 computers laying out in the backyard or something. Oh, you don't want to hear me when I'm in that when I get oh, it's awful.
Sometimes they can be a little temperamental, huh?
I'll say. I'm gonna have Dave Reeser called me. Chip Bilger would like a few words at the beginning here. He has another meeting or something to attend. So right after public comments, I'm sure we won't have any. I'm gonna put a 4A in there for Chip Bilger for Western Berks Water.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. It doesn't look too bad today. Should I open my mouth or not?
We'll take it in stride, huh?
Yeah. All right. And there's Keith. And Dave. And Bill.
Good afternoon.
Howdy.
Tom,
Hello,
Everybody.
everyone.
Yep. We're getting there.
I'm ready to get back in one room, Tom.
I'm ready. When Pat's looking at some spot for it. Me too. Me too.
Any thought about when you're gonna open up Borough Hall?
I don't know about Borough Hall, but we're gonna start having meetings. I know that. Well, we're gonna shoot for June. May's a little quick to get everything together there, but or find a spot and all that stuff and advertise. But June looks like a good target date. I don't know. Can't we open? I don't know. If people wear a mask and our people wear a mask, what's the difference between that and a restaurant?
I agree.
I don't know. Yeah.
I still can't figure out if you've got 5 people all in the same room that all have fully vaccinated, why you still have to wear a mask.
Well, I don't think you do.
Well, you see, our president sits in the Oval Office surrounded by everybody that's had a vaccine, and they still sit there with a mask on. I don't get it.
But I don't think he's in the office very long during the day anyway. So.
That's how they prop him up in the morning and they just sit him there. That's how that.
Well, I heard one of the conspiracy theories are that the reason he's wearing a mask because he's not really the one talking.
What was that old thing? Charlie McCarthy? Was that the back in the day?
Yeah.
Sat on somebody's lap. Huh?
Yeah, that was. What the heck was his name?
I can't think of who it was.
Edgar Bergen.
Edgar. Hey, Tom, you knew him well, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Tom.
I've been thinking the same thing, Keith.
Can I check sound here? People hear me? Anybody?
I can hear.
I can hear you.
Thank you. It appears my Wi-Fi doesn't want to. I switched to 5G. And it doesn't.
Matt's here, Steve's here. We have everybody, I guess, huh? Pat's here. Chip's here. Chip, I put you on after public comment there, so you gotta get going or something and.
Thank you. Thanks,
we'll
Tom.
Listen to you. Oh, I see Matt too, geez. And Michelle. 1 minute. I think we have everybody though, unless there's. Are we expecting anybody else, Melissa, that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I know. Could I ask you to enlarge one click, please? Thank you. Well, I got 3 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order and roll call, please.
Tom Boucher,
Here.
Dave Reeser,
Here,
Steve Brunner,
Here.
John Woodward,
Here.
and Tom Mall.
Here.
Okay, a few guests. And we will go to public comment if there is any.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes,
Adrian Beatty. Yes, can I go?
you
Can I
may.
go?
You may.
Thank you.
You're on the clock.
I actually wanted to provide you with a video of Mr. Brunner in January's meeting when he told us that he visited Spiral Lane with after my quite several complaints with Michelle and found no problem. On April, just a couple of months later, on April 5th, I noticed the tree that I had told you about had fallen down. And just by a miracle, did not go all the way and damage, because this would have reached our property and the street and whatever else on the street or on Spiral Lane. This was a tree that was dead for a long time, and I kept telling you about it. Jim came with Mark. Mark said that the root was rotten. I don't know how you determined, Mr. Brunner, that there was no problem. But I think a 12-year-old can see a dead tree from a live one, and probably even less than 12. So just by a miracle, you see in the marking, the tree stopped into another smaller tree. And if that branch had given, this huge log would have just, whatever was in its way would have been gone. So Melissa, next. This was the angle, this was the rotten root right there that Mark went and inspected. Next, please. You can see that the angle of the tree was over. I think there was another one, Melissa.
That could be with all the trees we have, yeah.
No, another picture. Anyway, it's fine. I'll start. No, I think there was another tree there, but maybe I'm mistaken. So here is, I went today and took some pictures. This is the Happy Hollow staircase. Next, please, Melissa. You can see the handrails are nice and shiny and clean. There is absolutely no overhanging vegetation, no twigs or something that could poke through, poke you as you go by. No dead trees about. Keep going, Melissa, please. This is the other staircase, that goes just a little bit over from the border. Same situation, nice, pleasant ride going down. Next, please, Melissa. Handrails, same, nice condition. Keep going. This is the stone house. Rails are in good condition. Keep going. There are more rails. Nothing, nothing wrong with those handrails. Okay, keep going. Now, this is, we jump again from one to another. This is a picture of Spiral Lane. It's the gentleman at 1100 Old Wyomissing Road had a tree falling down. This is the neighbor of the fallen tree from last 2 weeks, which killed a fence. The tree is still there. Weeds are way high, way over 14 inches, Michelle. There is also behind, I couldn't picture it, there is a rotten fence. I know you have written up people just recently, actually you went and removed a rotten fence, but this fence gets to stay. This metal fence in front of you, the chain link fence that was destroyed gets to stay. All that crap over there gets to stay for some reason, which I don't understand. This is right off Spiral Lane, and I'm sure if you visited, you would have seen that. Keep going, Melissa. You can see this is taken in line, just like the other path. Twigs coming out. This is against borough code. Remember, we've discussed 2 feet, overhanging vegetation, pretty obvious over the sidewalk. The whole idea in the borough code is that you're not supposed to have berries and stuff falling, but we do. And all the path is dark, is slippery from the stuff that comes down from this vegetation. All we're asking is be treated the same as the other one. We cannot go if this stuff rips our clothes.
Oh. Okay, we
We
got
cannot.
it. All right,
Can we go next, please? We're not done.
well, I'm about done now.
This is the state of our handrails as opposed to the other ones. I'm gonna provide you with a full report, but there is a stark contrast between these handrails and what you have seen before. Why can't we have decent handrails? This is our only access to a sidewalk area. I kept saying this, we keep asking for that.
I got it, and we got it. And
Well, I don't see any
time's up.
any way that you got it.
I got it.
Can we please, there are still trees that are dead. All I'm asking you is, please contact those people. I should not be the one writing them
Okay,
certified letters. We need to be good neighbors, and good neighbors don't do it. There's no other way for me to fix this other than write them a certified letter, just in case that tree
okay,
falls on my property,
all
I am
right.
covered. So please solve.
Thank you very much. We got the evidence. We'll have a discussion there. Okay, is there anyone else for public comment?
Shady, take pictures of these walls.
Anyone else? Is this- Okay. Is it, what is that, Melissa? Oh, is that part of the, okay. All right, I have, Chip Bilger here from Western Berks Water has requested, to get on the agenda here. We're gonna put him on. He has another, meeting, so I'm not gonna put him at the end. I'll put him at the beginning, and Chip promised it would be brief and to the point here. Go ahead, Chip.
Thanks, Tom, and thank you all for allowing Matt and I to talk to you briefly. This is in reference to, we back to the Washington DC discussion. The federal government has now authorized some funds through the American Rescue Fund to come our way. I know that Pat and Jim, I know Chris was part of the CDLG presentation on how this money's coming and when it's coming. So I've made my rounds. I met with the Shillington Infrastructure Committee and now I'm meeting with you guys tonight just to kind of let you know what we know about this money coming to the borough. It's around $1 million is the most recent estimate. You should be receiving that money probably in the next 30 to 60 days. You're going to get half of that money and then the balance will come 365 days later. The main goal, once again, with this money is there's 4 different pillars on how you can spend the money. The good news from my perspective is we want to be part of the solution, meaning that the last thing you want to do is give money back to Washington. Once again, you guys have to have the total choice of how you spend the money. My letter that I sent to Pat, and I think I copied in some of you guys also, is a way to maybe use some of that money. Any lost revenue. So if you look at your 2019 water sales compared to your 2020 water sales, we're showing about a $26,000 loss of revenue just on the water authority side. Matt and I try to do a calculation on what that means for the borough, and we're thinking that might be a similar number for you guys without knowing your exact loss of revenue or minimum bills. That will be something we have to work through with your people. But theoretically, you could be looking at around a $50,000 reimbursement for lost revenue compared to 19 to 20. So we want to make you aware of that. None of this money could come directly to the water authority. All the money is going to the municipalities directly. So whether it's the borough or township, so the monies are coming to you. All we can do is stand behind you and say, hey, no matter what happens, the borough of Wyomissing, please don't send any money back to these guys. And if you need help understanding how this money could be used, we're more than willing to talk about that. The one thing that's clear is there's no clear direction from the government on how this money can be spent. There's a little bit of an ambiguous guidance on this. The one thing it is clear, though, water and sewer projects are on the list. There's no question about that. So what we're doing is talking to the boroughs saying, listen, no matter what you do, let's not pick a topic or an item where you could look for reimbursement and then have to justify how that money was spent and then have them say to you, well, that really can't be used for that. So without a doubt, your engineers, your attorney is going to tell you that water and sewer projects are absolutely on the list and they could be used that way. So obviously that's what we're talking infrastructure. So I'm going to ask Matt real quickly to kind of go through a couple projects we identified specifically for the borough. And once again, these can just get added to your list of potential projects that you might want to consider for use of these funds.
Thank you very much. As Chip said, one of the things we're looking for are what they would consider shovel-ready projects. One of the projects that the authority is already doing right now is starting to replace all of the old, in most cases, original water meters from the authority to the boroughs. Wyomissing has 5 left on the list for us to do. We were hoping that we'd be able to partner with the borough to help us get some of those replaced. The replacement costs range anywhere from probably $20,000 to $35,000 a meter pit for meters and the ancillary piping and things that would go along with that. Another project that we're looking at for a partner would be installing a new meter pit on Museum Road, which is something we've talked would be a benefit to both the borough of Wyomissing and Shillington to move as much fresh water as we could through that Cambridge Avenue pit and down into Birdland and then also into Shillington. So a couple of real important projects that we'd really like to partner with the borough with.
Okay, I would say your list probably ought to go to Jim. And when the money gets here and we start talking about what we're going to do with it, I guess then we can hash over who or what's going to, or where I guess it's going to be spent. I don't think at this point that we haven't really done anything because it hasn't arrived for one thing, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't plan ahead. But I think that's where we stand at the moment. I don't know, Jim, do you have any comment there for that?
No, I would agree with everything Matt said. The meter pits where we take the water from Western Berks has improved. We used to have to go down in those pits. We read those meters every day. That's how we track our consumption and look for leaks. we used to have to go down in the pits to read the meters. Now we can read them from up top, and from what my short discussions with Matt, we could even improve on that. And the Museum Road, some of you may remember back when we paved Museum Road the last time, we planned ahead a little bit with some piping at the Shillington border for exactly what he's talking about. It would improve our chlorine residual in Birdland.
Right, I remember that. Okay, well, okay, if he sends you some stuff and when we get to that point, we can go from there.
I'd like to also add that one of the things we've added to our capital projects list is a stakeholder factor. So the more support we get from Jim and the borough, the higher that it ratchets it up on our list as something that's more likely to get done very quickly. So I'll set something up with Jim and he can come by the building, or I can stop by and see him, and we can start trying to prioritize some of this stuff.
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna guarantee anything's gonna happen there because I just don't have any idea what, at this point, we hadn't made. I don't think we have any kind of an official list, Jim or Pat, do we?
No, not at this point.
And I think, some of that needs to be heard through finance too, as to what's, maybe needs to, I'm sure there's a list there too. Don't forget, although it worked out okay for us in the end, we postponed a lot of projects as well. And the revenue, as it turned out, was a little bit better than we anticipated, but some of that was because we did postpone some of those big projects. So I'm just gonna say there'll be some discussion, I guess. That's the best way I can.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah,
So just so I know,
perfect, Tom.
just so I know, John Woodward here.
Yeah,
So you got $50,000 in opportunity loss in water sale reduction. You've identified another 50,000, let's say, in something that you want to get done. Well, just so I can think about it, what the heck are you going to do with another $900,000 in the borough of Wyomissing?
John, we're on finance. We're getting lists of all where our revenues were down and off. We're working on that. As we get to know more about it, we'll have that ready for you then.
Okay.
And John, that's my exact point. The last thing I want to do is give money back. So all we're
Right.
saying is if you need projects, we've got some things that really make some sense. Your project should be at the top of the list, certainly, but we think that there's certain things that we can add to the plate that would make you not give money back. That's the last thing we want to do.
okay, well, I agree with that. There's no, absolutely. That's for sure.
I think there's still a lot of discussion as to what you can actually use the money for. I don't know that they've really defined it yet.
Yeah, the water and sewer project, Chris will tell you, water and sewer projects are pretty clear. That's why we wanted to bring this to the table. There's other things that are really that are gray area, but the water and sewer projects are pretty clear.
And Chip, this is Steve Brenner. I'm the head of the finance, and my concern is, and I'm sure we'll get more about this, and I bet you're right, but we're not doing the projects. You are. I just want to make sure that would all be okay with the government to spend it that way. And I think we have something coming on Thursday night that we may find out more on. So
Correct.
We'll see.
So once again, I think they need to be your projects. So that's something we can certainly talk about.
all right, so you're talking about projects that would be done for Western Berks Water, well,
Yeah.
on behalf of Western Berks Water Authority,
Yeah.
that
so-
the
so
Borough
the-
of Wyomissing would perform.
Right. So that's something that Chris can advise you on. But the bottom line is, it is very clear that you can give money to Western Berks for projects. I think that's outlined in the legislation for sure.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Chris and Matt.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Did a good job.
Okay, onward here. Michelle, zoning and codes.
Sure, my report's pretty self-explanatory unless anybody had specific questions. I did want to add the hearing for 1109 Burn Road that started on March 31st was continued to last week, April 14th, and will be continued for additional testimony on May 6th at 3 p.m. So That hearing is going into its third date. There are also 2 hearings scheduled for this Thursday, one for 1518 Meadowlark and one for 1445 Reading Boulevard.
Okay. I was just looking at the enforcement activity.
Mhm.
I just wanted to comment because I walk down Dolphin Avenue pretty often, and I spoke to one, well, several times now, next door to the cat problem there.
Yes.
Those people have reported to me personally that there is a multitude of felines running around there. I noticed that when Chris goes by, they happen to disappear, which I'm not surprised at, but they claim it is still quite a mess. And that they put up with this constantly. There's the 2 that I saw that were fighting that day, and then he claims that there's at least a dozen cats running around there. I don't know. I don't know what to do other than that they got a big sad look on their face and they're going, it's awful. And I don't have any reason not to believe them, although I didn't see any cats when I walked by those other times either.
I mean, similar to what we spoke about last year when, this went through the district justice and then the county appeals court, we need photographic evidence to be able to take any type of legal action. So, I mean, the first step, similar to the neighbor on the other side of the alley last year, that was, almost daily sending me videos and photographs. We need some type of documented proof that they're actually, 1, seeing the cats, and 2, preferably photographic proof like we got last year of an open window with the cat actually sitting in it, and then later timestamped sitting in the front yard and then the backyard. That's the only way we can legally do something.
And have those people ever called you or anything? I don't know their name, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, I can touch base with Chris, but normally if he would hear from somebody with something like that, he would reach out to me immediately, and I've not heard a peep. I've not heard a peep from the neighbor across the alley since last year either.
Okay, I don't know what to say other than the fact that when I walked by, they were pretty, vocal about it. And I mean, if I see them again, I'll just tell them they got to take pictures. I don't know. They claim the backyard looks like something from, it's like a jungle back there. They said, overgrowth. So I
That's
don't
something
know.
too, if they can see, I don't know if you're familiar with the backyard and what you can and can't see from the alley. There's a lot of times neighbors have vantage points that borough staff don't, based off of what we can access and what we can't. If the neighbor's either willing to send us a picture of what they can see that we can't, or allow an inspector to come onto their property to take a photograph, we could do something. But I mean, I just know the property in question from the alley because of the way the shrubbery and trees kind of grow over and arch over the driveway. There's not much you can see of the backyard from the alley.
Okay, well, I don't know what else to do either. I mean, I'm passing it along. I wish we could solve it, but they didn't complain bitterly to me, but they definitely said it's definitely a problem and it's not nice to live next to, that's for sure.
I would say if you see them again, tell them to call Borough Hall and ask for me.
Okay. And the list is fairly short this time, I guess.
Yeah, we're going into grass season, so enjoy it while it lasts.
Get ready, huh?
Yep.
Okay, all right, well, that was my only comment about that one there. Okay, anybody else have anything for the report there? Okie dokie, all right, onward, number 5 there, the Lincoln drainage. Is Jim there? I know Jim Babb
Yep.
is. Jim McCarthy, want to add anything there?
No, at the end of the packets, the letter that was sent out to them, we haven't heard back from them at this point.
Okay. Yeah, because that was sent out a while ago, wasn't it?
I think actually we made the motion on it, but it got sent out March 16th, so about a month ago.
Okay. All right, we expecting some sort of a response. Well, I guess we'll get a response, I'm sure of that, but
I had spoken with them actually between when the motion was made and the letter came out, and but I haven't spoken with them since. So I'll follow up and just see what they're doing, what their plans are.
yeah, because he was at the one meeting where we actually, made the motion or said that it was on him or them. Am I right or not? I don't know. I don't have that exact in front of me there, but
Yeah, I don't know. If they were, they didn't understand it because they had their contractor call me after that meeting,
okay.
asking if I'd heard anything. So,
Okay. All right, sanitary sewer.
kind of just updates here that the, on payment app number 3 for Mr. Rehab, we're waiting on that till Jim reviews the tapes. The bid opening for the 2021 sanitary sewer project that's out on the street now. Bid opening is next week.
Yep.
And we started working on, we were down at the pump station the other day with Jim and the pump rep for the Berkshire Boulevard pump station.
Okay, good. All right. Then we move on to water there.
Nothing new there. Then we're having a pre-construction meeting, I believe, sometime next week. So that work will probably start within a month, I would guess.
Okay, and we'll count B there as, is there more information other than what we heard from Chip and Matt there or not?
No,
Tom, that's it.
Is that it? Okay.
The only thing I'd like to add to water in general is, just as an FYI, sometime in the next week or two, we will start hydrant flushing, just so everybody's aware.
Okay. All right. Under streets, first the sidewalk, 50/50. That's that's advertised.
That's advertised. The ads went out Friday and we'll have that opening before next month's infrastructure meeting.
Okay. And what was there, about 58 or something? Somebody said the one meeting.
Yeah, it's a little over 5,000 square feet, and I think that's the number, 58 residents. In the last month, I had to close it, and I must have had 5 or 6 phone calls even after that. So there's
Wow.
a lot.
Well, that's good. I mean, maybe that can be extended again. That's helped us out a lot there, as well as the people. But are those all marked with your white spray dot? Is that the ones?
Yep.
Okay. I see them walking around. Okay, street improvements.
Okay, the pre-con scheduled for Thursday, 22nd.
Right. So progress.
Yeah, but I know that all the property owners on Hill have us doing their curb. Why am I drawing a blank on the other street? Jim, what was that, about 50/50 on the other street?
Yeah, the other street is Cherrywood over
Cherrywood.
in Greenwood Mall, and I'd say that's 50/50. Yeah.
Yep. Drew a blank on Cherrywood for a second.
Are they putting back in those quarter round things again, or are they getting a square curve there?
No, when it's the rolled, what I call rolled curb like that, it gets replaced with rolled curb. You can't change it unless you do the whole street.
Okay. Just wondering. Okay, progress. C, the 4th Street extension there.
We do have payment app number 6, which should be attached to everyone's packet for the work done since payment app 5 in the amount of $165,772.17. And we reviewed that and recommend payment. All that work's been satisfactorily completed.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to pay that, please.
Oh,
Somebody made it. What was that? Tom?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, okay, Tom.
Second.
And second from John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay,
I was over there today. It looks great. They're almost done as far as I can tell.
That's good.
Getting there. One thing I wanted to add to that, council approved last week, preparing and sending out the RFP for engineering services. If you recall, the PennDOT money that we'll be using for the expansion of scope, the 3 projects, mainly tied into stormwater MS4. They're okay with us doing, but we have to actually, bid out, or I should say, put out a proposal for our engineering services. I put the final touches on that RFP this morning and have Colleen taking a look at it just to make sure everything's in there that needs to be in there. And then I will send it out to a few select firms later this week.
Okay, good. The pedestrian bridge there at the Stonehouse. Anything?
Actually, at this point, it's, we have to go through the PennDOT and MTF grant process with that. So that's kind of sitting there. We did send a letter to DEP requesting an extension of that permit since PennDOT's now involved, and the timeline for their paperwork will be significantly longer than our normal bidding paperwork.
Okay, and why winter only for construction? What's that? What's the reason for that?
Because of the trout.
Ew. Gotcha.
There's like 2 there. There's like 2 there once a year.
Yep.
Class A trout water.
They're the 2 they're worried about, Steve.
Yeah, I walked by the other day at the wall at the Stonehouse, and the guy pulled one out. I thought it was a sardine. It was that small. Good Lord. I said, "You are throwing that back, right?" He said, "Yeah." So I guess that's, yeah. Okay, there's a trout. What is that? Because they're just laying around during that time, or what? I don't get it.
Well, it's because it's a wild/native trout stream downstream, and in that area, they put that restriction on you. So basically, what you could do is we can remove the bridge, put the abutments in, and then I mean, we're really not doing anything in the stream itself, so it doesn't affect us as much as it normally would.
All right. Meanwhile, when we get those gully washers, the thing fills up and they all wash away. Huh?
Yeah, it might save us on bridge demo.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That was a joke.
No, I get it. All right, Public Works Facility, we're progress there, I guess, huh?
We actually had the kickoff meeting with the architect, engineers, construction managers, Jim, Michelle, and I at 1 o'clock today. So that's moving forward.
Okay, good. And then the storm and flood damage at Brandywine.
Jim, Bab, and I had a call with Colleen on Friday to go over a couple of grant applications I'm working on with her. And one of the things she wanted to know, the flood mitigation grant that council approved us going after last week has a max award request of 500,000. We anticipate the relining of the entire pipe to cost around 1.2 to 1.3. So Colleen's suggestion was either to line half the pipe, which based off my conversation with Jim and Jim earlier today is actually an option. Or we could go after $500,000 this year, $500,000 next year, do heavy legislative lobbying, as we would need an extreme amount of legislative support to get full funding 2 years in a row. Or the third option was, if we get the $500,000, we could also privately pay for the rest of it, obviously, or partner with Penvest to do some type of loan for the remaining balance. So I think the committee needs to make some type of recommendation to council as to which of those 3 options you want to go after, and I'll let Jim and Jim speak to the benefits of relining half the pipe.
Oh, boy. Well, go ahead.
Well, the benefit to reline half is half of it's done. I mean, obviously it's better to do it all, but I would think if we were going to do half, I would recommend starting in the upper end, immediately in the Brandywine Lincoln area where we seem to be having the most issues. Because, we have, that pipe's, I guess, lasted about 40 years. And if we line it, we'll probably get another 40 years out of it. So, I mean, it makes sense to start upstream where we know where we've been having the problems. By lining it, it'll, be structurally, increase the structural integrity, and also by eliminating those protrusions of everyone putting those drain pipes in that stick out will increase the flow carrying capability of the pipe as well. I mean, obviously it'd be great to do the whole thing, but if we can get, we can only get half done, I would say start with the upper half.
So that the additional inlets that were put in, again, we haven't really tested them yet, obviously. I'm sure we'll get some sort of a test this summer with any kind of a heavy thunderstorm of some sort. Is this something you can wait and see how the additional inlets help, or that pipe should just be attacked anyway here?
Well, the pipe's metal and it's showing sometimes some signs of deterioration, which is really what the relining would then. Basically, we're going to reline it and essentially build a new pipe by the lining inside of the old pipe.
Okay. And the neighbors with their things that they planted and or constructed over top, does that cause an issue with that?
I think the neighbor over top thing is a separate issue.
Okay. But I mean, is it involved with lining the pipe or not?
No.
Okay.
No, we may, depend on the contractor. They would get in through the street ends. We may have to, if we didn't want to have everyone remove everything and drive down the easement, we may have to go in a location for them to gain access to the top of the pipe. They may end up cutting another inlet, cutting a hole in the pipe and putting an inlet on when they're done, just to get access in the middle. Or perhaps they have the equipment long enough to go from end to end, but that's a pretty long run.
Okay. Like in somebody's backyard there, you mean, right?
Right. We might have to come through, get an easement to come down, temporary easement to come down somebody's driveway with the equipment, and then, restore the lawn and driveway and any damage that the equipment would cause.
Okay.
Which would
Michelle,
probably
do you
be.
think some of this dollars could be used for what we're getting for the sewer and water? Is this potentially part of that?
I don't know, Keith. I wasn't in those meetings. Michelle and Chris would be able to speak more intelligently on what's eligible for that.
I don't think we have enough information yet, Keith, to say one way or another. But again, hopefully the call Thursday evening will clear some of that up. I see Chris shaking his head in agreement.
That's right. I don't think we have enough information to give clear advice on what are eligible projects as of today.
All right. Well, that's something to keep in mind for what Keith's mentioning there anyway.
There we go.
All right. Okay. And what do they have to do yet? Just put down like the final coat of the macadam there around those new inlets, or what?
Yeah, and I think they were starting that today. So, yeah, that's it. It's done. It's just restoration now.
Okay. All right, good. All right, the Verizon item there, 12.
Council approved last week the adoption of the ordinance that puts in place aesthetic regulations for the small wireless communication facilities. If you go back to when this conversation started, which was in November of 2019, this came about because Verizon came to me with a right-of-way lease agreement and a list of 38 locations in the borough they wanted to install wireless communication facilities at, mainly on street lights, traffic signals, or utility poles in the right-of-way. So not all of those 38 locations are, a traffic signal or a street light owned by the borough. Some of the utility poles are owned by the electric company. Before I go back to Verizon to kind of cull down the list to see what is ours versus what is someone else's, does the borough have any intention or desire to enter a lease agreement with Verizon for co-location on our facilities?
I thought we were working on a price for that at one point, weren't we, Chris?
We,
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what you're talking about, Michelle, or not?
well, I mean, we had an agreement with a company called Mobility from, I believe that was 2017 when that was approved. Give me 1 second. So we actually executed a lease with them. That lease agreement required them to pay us $1,250 per pole.
Per what, per year or something? What was it, per year?
Yes, that was an annual fee per installation of $1,250 per location.
Okay, and that is in place?
That is with a separate company called Mobility. They never actually installed any wireless communication facilities on any borough property. So, I mean, the lease is in place, but they're not paying us anything because they've not actually done anything. So this would be a separate lease with Verizon roughly to do the same thing.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't want a lease? I mean, if we can make a couple bucks off of it, they're certainly making plenty.
Yeah, and I'd also argue from economic development, being able to provide a 5G network and, faster download speeds, that all ties in hand with economic development.
Well, I don't know. Anybody else, any comments? I mean, why not, right? Do we need some formal positioning for that? Is that what you mean?
Well, Michelle, I would think you're looking for guidance so you can go back and talk to Verizon and with some assurance be able to say whether the borough is interested in doing these kinds of deals.
Correct. I mean, I would also ask if Verizon has made any major changes to that lease from 2019 that she had provided me a copy of that, could I have an updated version? Bring it back to this committee with an updated list of locations they're looking at installing on and make sure the committee and council are agreeable to the terms Verizon's proposing.
Well, unless anybody else objects, I'd say go ahead administratively and, put your toes in the water there and see what's going on, I guess.
I can do that.
Anybody else, any comment or question? Okay. All right, Michelle?
Yep, thanks.
Okay. All right, the school district and Woodland Road signal there for the traffic control.
Okay, well, let me talk about this. If you recall the original version of this agreement with the school district is going to install the signal, and the borough had proposed that the school district would not only install it, but would also maintain it. And then we got, pushback from the school district, and the borough said, we will treat it like we've treated other signals that serve the school, and we will maintain it. But the school district will still install it. So I modified the agreement on that subject. Then I got additional feedback from the school district that they didn't like language in the revised agreement that had the school district indemnify and hold harmless the borough from any claims resulting from, alleged liability for the installation of the signal. And I had a discussion with the school solicitor about this. I said that, I was treating in that draft agreement the school district like a developer. School district said they didn't really like to be treated like a developer. They were hoping that the borough would not require the school district to hold harmless and indemnify the borough. So the conclusion of that discussion is I told the solicitor I'd be willing to recommend to the borough that we remove the hold harmless and indemnification language. So the result of that would be that if somebody sues the borough because of some issue that comes up with the operation of the signal, the borough will have to defend itself. Now, that doesn't mean that the school district could not be found to be liable for some reason based on defective installation of the signal. But if somebody sues the borough would need to defend itself. So I'm comfortable moving forward with the agreement on that basis, if that's what the borough would like to do.
Do we own the thing?
We will maintain it. That is our agreement. There is nothing in the agreement that says that they are dedicating it to the borough. So on its face, I'd say it's still owned by the school district.
Chris, that permit's in the borough's name.
Yeah, well, we are the permittee. So are we, in that permit application, are we saying that we own the permit? I mean, we own the signal? All right,
Yeah.
well then, as far as PennDOT's concerned, yes, we will own the signal.
All right, well then I don't, what tie-in do they have at all with it then?
Well, they're installing it. They're doing the design. They're preparing the permit applications to DEP, and they're installing it. So they do have some responsibility in this process. You know, it's not a contract that the borough is engaging some contractor to put in this traffic signal. It is the school district that's doing that work.
This sounds like a pile of spaghetti. I don't know. Either we should have it or they should have it. I'm not, maybe we should just have it. Why wouldn't we just have it then?
Well, as you know, my discussion with the school solicitor was if we are maintaining it, most likely we're going to get the claims if something goes wrong with the operation of the signal. And so it seems to me to make sense that we would accept responsibility for what the borough is doing with regard to that signal. As I said, if there is a claim that it was installed improperly or designed improperly, I think the school district is still going to get brought into that lawsuit. But if somebody sues the borough, the school district would not have a responsibility to indemnify the borough. And, you know, looking at the big picture on this thing, because the borough will be maintaining it, I don't have a problem with the borough not being indemnified by the school district.
All right, one more question. Do we have what in other districts and other places I see these, you know, signals, how are they all set up? Is ours unique or are they all done pretty much the same way?
Well, I haven't done any research on that. The school solicitor did tell me the other school districts that they represent, they haven't been asked by the municipality to bear any responsibility for the signal. So that's what he told me, but I haven't independently verified that.
It seems like, I don't know, seems like it ought to be like the same everywhere, or pretty much anyway. I don't know. I'm just asking. So what do we need here? What do we need approved or disapproved?
Well, if you are comfortable with the outcome that I have described, where the borough would not be held harmless or indemnified by the school district, so that if there is a lawsuit against the borough because of this signal, the borough is going to have to defend itself. If you're okay with that outcome, then I would recommend that you recommend to council approval of the revised agreement. As I understand it, the school board is ready to go forward with approval.
Okay. Anybody else? Comment?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and there's a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and the ayes have it. Okay, Chris, move forward.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Did my watch stop running? Geez, anyone have any other items there from Michelle or Jim or anything? Pool, how's the pool doing, Jim?
So far, so good. It's drained, it's cleaned. They're gonna try to start painting it tomorrow.
So we're ahead of schedule, I hope,
We're surely not behind schedule.
not like last year.
All right.
Oh, that's good.
Hey, Jim
All
Babbitt,
right.
Steve, Tom, one question for Jim.
Go ahead.
At the beginning of the meeting during public comment, there was a tree issue. When it's a private, when it's a tree on someone's private property and when it started to fall again or whatever, when it got to the stage it had to come down, what would happen if the resident who owned the tree didn't live there? I mean, wasn't home, excuse me, couldn't be reached. Would the borough take it down then?
That's a tough question. There's so many different scenarios. If a private tree falls down and is blocking the road, which happens, we will cut it to open up the road, but leave what's behind the sidewalk in place. In this case, the tree had partially fallen down. Mark McLaughlin, our foreman, looked at it, didn't think it was in any jeopardy of falling anytime soon. It was being kind of propped up by some other trees. So I think in this instance, if the homeowner hadn't reacted, we would have just waited it out, closed the road for a period of time. And if we saw the situation getting worse, we probably would have at some point taken care of it. But we didn't look at it dire emergency at that moment.
Okay, thanks. I didn't know how that worked.
May I comment something here, please? The problem is in this situation is that the tree would have reached our property, not only the road, our property.
All right, we'll let them take a look at it and see what's cooking.
And there are still trees that are dead, and all we're asking is give a notification to those people to get them down, because we cannot wait until they fall down.
Mr. Jadick, as it's already been explained to you, private property trees that are not overhanging a public alley, a public sidewalk, or a public street are not a code violation. They are a private property matter.
And I told you that that
Thank you.
particular tree is
Thank you.
overhanging a public alley and a
And
public
it was
road.
taken down 2 hours later, Adrian.
Let's double check.
Not this one.
Let's
Please
double check.
understand, I'm talking about a different that is still there.
Mute him.
Please stop. We'll double check it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cause a stir. I just was curious as to what would happen if someone wasn't around. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
That's like if the tree falls and nobody's there, does it make a noise, huh?
Yeah, kind of like that. Right?
Okay. Anyone else? Anything there? Jim, how did that mulcher machine work?
You have to ask Dan. I was not involved with that at all. I don't know.
It worked very well, Tom.
Oh, it did?
Yeah,
Whose was it? Was it Dwayne's deal or what? Or Dan's? Was it Dan's?
yeah, Dan found a company we could rent that through. We had it for 5 days. I'd say they got done in 5 days, what probably would have taken them more than 2 weeks to do without the machine. So it was definitely money well spent.
So we had to rent it, I guess, right?
I'm sorry.
Well,
We had to do-
we had to rent it?
Yes.
Okay. What did we pay for that rent? Just out of curiosity.
I'd have to look at the final invoice from Dan, but I want to say it was close to $900 a day.
Ooh. Okay, for 5 days.
Yep.
Well, I hope it was really good for that price.
It definitely was. Keep
Where
in
do they
mind,
come-
they weren't able to mulch last year, so they were trying to do 2 years of work in as short a period of time as possible.
So do they provide the mulch or do we? I mean, what?
We provide the mulch.
And then they just spray it around? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking. All right, anybody have anything else? Okay, if not, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.